website and get any information that you need about our past webinars. So we have Will Chatham with us here today, and he is our web manager. He's been with us for a little over 2 years now, and prior to that has a lot of experience in developing WordPress sites, and he's been working with technology and the internet since 1999. So a lot of skill sets, and he really does have a great love for technology. We always say where there's a will, there's a way. That's sort of what we call him. So he's worked for lots of different size organizations, and since he's been with us, he's built a lot of WordPress websites, so and help us with technology. So, Will, let me turn it over to you, and I will be monitoring for questions, and I'll come back in. I am going to do a couple of show and tell things throughout a little later on, so I'll be back. Will?
All right, thank you very much, Marilee, and welcome everyone to the webinar today. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm going to be talking about. Just generally the importance of websites, the effectiveness of using content management systems, kind of what the difference is between a static website, a content management system, what you can do with the power of a content management system, and some details related to all of those things. So let me first start by just talking about websites in general and why they are very important today. Any business that doesn't have a website is basically losing out on a lot of potential clientele. The website has become the first stop for information. People don't really pick up their yellow pages as much anymore, and instead they turn to the internet, to Google or Bing or Yahoo searching. And now with the proliferation of mobile devices and tablet computing and everything, it's even easier for people to do so. So that's generally where people look first when they're looking for a business or a resource or a service in their area. So it's really important that if you have a business, you have a website that obviously shows what what service or products you offer, how to get in touch with you, where you are, and that sort of thing. It's also just an excellent tool for marketing in many different ways, and if you don't have a website, you're losing out on a huge marketing opportunity. And as we'll see today, it can end up being a pretty low-cost marketing opportunity once you are given the power to control your own website. You don't have to have a dedicated marketing team or anything like that. You're able to make updates to your websites and take charge of the content. Social media, I'm sure you've heard of. It's huge, and it is also an excellent way to relate to your clients, your potential clients, your returning clients, and provide methods for more eyeballs to get to your website and see what you're all about, which hopefully converts into sales. And branding. It's really important to provide people with a professional looking website that conveys a professional service. Websites that were built 5 or 10 years ago, they tend to look that way. And if people actually do evaluate a website and the value of a company based on the design of a website. So it's important that your website is branded well, it identifies who you are, it is cohesive with any kind of print materials you may have, and kind of gives an overall professional appearance to you, your company, your services, and your products. So websites are not something that you can set and forget, as we like to say. A lot of people will push a website out there and forget about it, and that doesn't really work. Websites need to be kept fresh and updated and relevant, and these things help encourage people to return to your website. They encourage the search engines to return to your website and find what content is on there, and they convey a sense of relevancy to people. So that's a very important thing. for your website to be on the internet and be updated frequently so that people don't think it's stale or neglected, and then it tends to get outdated. So you want to make sure that your website's up to date. That can have search engine optimization implications, can help convey a better image to people, and it's just really important for that first impression, which people have when they come to your site. Alrighty. So in the past, some of the things which led to outdated websites or no websites at all is that website design can be expensive sometimes, especially when you're trying to do ongoing updates and to keep your stuff fresh and relevant. If your site is created so that only a web designer or web programmer can update it, well, you have to pay that person every time you want to update it. So that kind of thing in the past would discourage people from actually maintaining their websites and making sure that they are fresh. It also just seems overly complicated for people. Sometimes people try to build their own website, which is a great thing to do as a hobby, but unless you're kind of dedicated towards learning a lot of code and image processing and that sort of thing, it can be a really complicated task when you need to be focusing on running your business and selling your services and products. So also people might not really see the importance of a website, which is something we're hoping to change your mind about today if you are one of those people. But what we're also going to point out here is that there are ways to easily update your website these days and not have to pay the ongoing expenses of a web designer or web developer. And that's where content management systems, also known as a CMS, that's where they come to the rescue. A content management system is basically a piece of software that you install or your web designer installs on a web server. And it it stores all of its information in a database, which dynamically pulls that information out when people visit the pages of your site. And the advantage of this is that it makes it really easy to update the content on your website. A content management system provides a secure area where you can log in and actually edit the content on your pages. You can upload pictures, you can make links to other pages on your site or other websites. If you're familiar with using like Microsoft Word, and you know that some of the text editing tools, this is a very similar interface on most content management systems. So you don't ever have to look at any code, and you don't really have to worry about the technical details of it too much. A content management system also has, many of them have ways to integrate with social media. So let's say you have a blog on your website where you're posting blog posts which may contain articles or updates or recent news about your company and that sort of thing, or just anecdotes about whatever your thoughts are on life. You can integrate those with social media so that when you post a blog update, it automatically goes to your company's Facebook page, and you automatically send out a tweet about it on Twitter. You also have the ability to upload content to your site, such as pictures, videos, files, including like PDFs and that sort of thing for people to download. And as I mentioned, you can do some blogging, which is a great tool for providing fresh content for your visitors and for search engines to find. And there are tools for gathering metrics about your website, which are the number of visitors you have, how they found you, what keywords they searched for in the search engines to find you. And that way you can know what's working and what areas of your site you might want to invest more time in or change the content on and that sort of thing. So a content management system takes all of these concepts and puts them into your hands so that you can easily manage them. You still do need to hire a web designer / web developer in order to get the content management system set up. The thing to keep in mind here is, though, once it's done, you can take off with updating your website. So you don't really need to talk to them unless there's like a software upgrade or something like that that needs to be done down the road. So the web designer will still need to install the software, implement a custom design for your website. There are thousands of templates that you can get for many of the content management systems available, but we strongly recommend getting a custom design so that your site doesn't end up looking like someone else's site, which can really kind of damage your branding identity if people recognize your site as, hey, oh, that's the same design as this other business I ran into the other day. So we always recommend a custom design that's unique to your business and your company and the services you offer. You still need the web designer to help you launch the site, which would probably include just a brief training on how to navigate the back end, which is the administrative area of the site, and then implement any of the points of integration with other services such as Twitter and Facebook, implementing Google Analytics, which is an excellent tool for gathering traffic statistics, and yeah, so that's basically what you would need the designer for from the beginning. Two of the content management systems we love here at CoreCubed are WordPress and Expression Engine. They each have very strong upsides to them. Neither of them really have very strong downsides, luckily. They are integrated with social networks. They're search engine friendly. They make it easy for you to update your content. And I think Marilee was going to take a peek at a WordPress blog website here.
Yes, I'm going to do that. Give me 1 second. First, I wanted to show people, I think I'll start with CoreCubed, and I wanted to show people first the actual website. Give me just 1 second. And
okay.
This is our actual CoreCubed website. So this is the component that people would see if they're looking for CoreCubed. And then next thing I wanted to do was show you that you can go into the CoreCubed website and the back end. And I've logged in, and this is what you see. And so this is my login. I'm a super administrator of this account. And I'm logged in, and this gives you some examples. And, well, you might want to talk to people about all of the things that we have the capacity to do at our back end.
Yes. Once again, this is the back end of Expression Engine, which is what the CoreCubed website is running on. So if you go up to, like, Contents in the top menu there and choose Edit, we'll just show you what it's like to edit some content that's already on your website. And here you see a list of pages on the website. So let's click on, well, I guess choose any one of those, maybe website redesign for APS there, or any one of those will do, really. Just click on the title there if you would, Marilee. There we go. So this is some text that actually exists on the website, on the front end of the website, about public relations and marketing. You can change the title. You can change, oh, this is like an event, so it talks about an upcoming date.
That's another one.
What's that?
I said I'm going to find one that's not an event. Sorry, I should have picked more of a.
Okay.
That's an event, too. Here's a blog. How about that?
Yeah, that looks great. So this is a blog post that we're editing. And you can see where you type in the title, a custom URL, which would be the page name of this page. And then under blog body text, you can see there's an assortment of tools here, which are all text editing tools, such as bulleted lists, bold text, underlined text, that sort of thing. And this is also where you can upload images. If you have an image you wanted to add into the text, it's a very simple interface to upload an image from your computer. And you would go in here and make your changes, and then you would hit save, or I think in Expression Engine they might call it publish or save or something. Submit, there you go. Yeah, and then it would automatically get updated on the front side of the website. And that makes it very easy to do. You don't have to worry about any code. You don't have to worry about the design. It automatically inherits the theme or the design and style that was pre-made for this website.
And then the next thing I wanted to do was show the my WordPress blog, which is, it's not a website, but it is a blog, and we do design websites in WordPress, but this will show you the back end is close to what you get or similar, isn't it, Will? Exactly what you get on a website, on a WordPress website?
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, it looks a lot different, but it provides you with a similar set of tools for updating the website.
Here's our core cube team.
Marilee's WordPress website is set up to be primarily a blog, but it does have pages on it. And a lot of times when we create a website, especially a company's website on WordPress, we focus on it being driven by static pages and then just make the blog a subsection of the website rather than making the blog the home page. So this is the inside of the WordPress website, and this is the dashboard. And on the left in the main menu, you have your posts, which is where you would go to add a blog post to the page. And we can look at an existing post if you want to, and just see that the available tools are very similar to Expression Engine.
I'm going to edit this one because this should be under my home care conferences, and it's not. So I just changed that, and just to show you how easy it is, I'll go into a post though that that's a little more than just an event. We do list those. This was actually a blog that I wrote. So, but it could have been a page on a website. It would have been the same editing component.
Same interface. Yeah,
right.
Same interface. And again, you can see that you have text editing controls. You can change the color of your text. You can add pictures. You can sort everything into categories. One of the advantages of a content management system is that since it is driven by a database, it's very easy to implement a search feature on your website so that people can search for things, and then it searches all the text and content on your site and brings up a page of search results within your own website. But as you can see here, there's the ability to create links, clickable text that takes you to another page. WordPress is, again, it looks much different than Expression Engine does, but they both do a lot of the same stuff. And I'm partial to WordPress just because that's what I've worked with the longest, but it has a lot of cool ways to enhance its functionality through the use of plugins, which allow you to basically add a simple plugin, most of which are free, which then increase the functionality of your website, either by, for example, adding a Like Me on Facebook button, which ties into your Facebook page, or any number of things to, building a contact form. Lots and lots of different plugins out there. So the pricing for all this is largely based on time and materials. The more complicated the design of the website, the longer it takes to implement a custom theme. But the basic things you would need to start with include the design, the planning, which involves laying out the pages on your site and organizing them hierarchically, planning out the navigation for the website, what pages feature what content, just ways to organize it so it makes sense and it's easy to find everything. Research, which includes all of the above, and maybe research into your competitors, your well, that's what I would consider research probably.
SEO also.
Yeah, search engine optimization research, that sort of thing. What keywords you should optimize your site for, that sort of thing. The text that you want to put on the pages, the development of the actual website, which would be put into the designer's hands to do. Well, they'd be involved in most of these steps, but once it's all developed and designed and implemented, you get someone to proof it all, and then you launch it. And that's when you are given the keys to drive it and update your content.
Okay, I'm going to go now and see if we have some questions. We did have some questions that had been submitted, and I need to go find those as well. Photo updates and placement. So questions about photo updates and placement. And I'm assuming if you want to write those in, that'll be fine. You can go ahead and write them in. And, well, you can talk generally right now about photo updates and placement, and I will go find the other questions that people submitted when they signed up for the webinar.
Okay. So I think the question is coming from Kevin. If you want to ask any specific details about that. Let's see. He says, we had trouble updating a photo that was already on our website, swapping a new one for an old one. And was that a website that was built on a content management system, such as WordPress or Expression Engine, or was that a static HTML website? It's a WordPress site. Okay. So it's kind of hard to say without seeing it what the problem might be, but if the website was designed so that certain photos and elements were part of the theme and not part of the editable content area, you would need to get someone knowledgeable in WordPress themes to actually swap that image or photo out. If, however, it was part of the editable content area that you have control over in the WordPress admin area, it should be a matter of selecting that image, deleting it, and then uploading a new one in its place. It can kind of depend on how the theme was designed. You know, some people code themes better than others, and whether or not it was made to be a part of the website that you're allowed to edit. Does that make sense, Kevin?
So I think one of the things, Will, that I've had people have trouble with is not understanding the design component when they try to exchange pictures, where one picture may be horizontal and the other may be vertical, and they might not be something that swaps out easily.
Right, and that's something that I know that content management systems are constantly striving to make better. And the latest version of WordPress has some new tools for editing images and placement of images that make it more powerful than ever. So you can upload a photograph. You can, once it's in WordPress, you can resize it. You can make it aligned to the left or in the middle or to the right. You can make it so that the text on the page wraps around it nicely. There are a lot of new features that help with the positioning and the layout of pictures and photographs. Does that make sense? Is that what you're talking about?
I've got another question here about one of the pages on the site in Edit View where they could only half the content appeared in Edit View, and but it looked like the rest of it was on the site. Yeah,
that again may be that content was not set up to be directly editable. A lot of WordPress themes, they just have like one big area where you're able to edit that content, and that's it. We like to create WordPress themes where you can have control over multiple areas of the web page and edit multiple areas of text rather than just the one big chunk in the middle.
Well, I was going to say that's part of the planning too, is understanding which components do you want to have capacity to edit, and which ones are you not going to edit. Sometimes in order to maintain the integrity of the design of the website, there are some areas that you wouldn't want someone to edit because it might really make it look funny or look bad.
Exactly. We try to give people as much control as possible, but you know, certain parts of the web page, if you were to upload an image that was 3,000 pixels wide or something, it might blow the whole design out of proportion or something like that. So there are certain areas that you can't really edit, but we try to make that an option whenever possible if people want to have that much control over it.
We have a question that was sent in by one of our viewers, but when they signed up for the webinar. Is it good for us to use companies that send our info to search engines, pro and con?
Really, you don't need to. There was a trend to have people submit your site to search engines a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago or so, and you would pay a company to submit you to over 500 search engines and things like that. But really, all you need to do anymore is create your website, make a sitemap that Google can read, and set up a few basic elements behind the scenes so that Google can find it. And once Google finds it and crawls your website, all of the other search engines are going to follow suit. And you really don't need to submit it to 500 different places, especially if you're paying someone to do that. All you need to do is provide quality content, keep it fresh and updated, and look at your metrics and that sort of thing to see when Google visits your site and how often they visit your site, and to make sure that they're not having any problems visiting your site. Google has tools which we like to use to show if it finds errors on your site or if it's finding broken links or broken pages and that sort of thing. So I think those are much more important these days than mass submitting your site to hundreds of search engines. And really, most search engines follow the big three, which are Google, Bing, and Yahoo. So if you're on those, all the other ones are going to find you. They kind of scrape each other's content.
We have some specific questions about marketing specific products or specific services. And let me just say the relationship between a website and marketing. A website is one tool to use for marketing. It does need to be integrated into the other things you're doing. As Will said earlier, certainly needs to be an extension of your brand, but it's not a one-size-fits-all. So this is a website about using content management and changing it. I mean, a webinar about that, not about specifically marketing products and services for a niche. And I will say, having said that using the web is a perfect niche marketing tool because you do have the capacity to narrow down into niche markets what it is your product and service, the itch it's trying to scratch or the need it's meeting. So, Will, if you want to talk about that just for a minute, about SEO and the how search engines love particularly WordPress sites.
Yeah. First of all, WordPress was kind of created to be very search engine friendly. That is, the code behind the scenes, the tools you have available are constructed in a way so that it prevents search engines from tripping over anything or having stumbling blocks or speed bumps. WordPress allows search engines to crawl deeply into the code. It also helps to have a designer that can code your theme pretty well, but it's by nature it's set up to be search engine friendly. So that's something that, one of the basics you don't have to worry about. It takes some of the basics out of the equation because they're already taken care of when you're creating a website. But as far as niche marketing goes, it's finding a way to grab certain keywords that are not necessarily that competitive is a really good way to get yourself positioned well in the search engines. And this is where it comes in handy to talk to somebody that's in the SEO world, an SEO expert, to help you find keywords that you should be optimizing for. Let's say your website is about, I always use the example of dog food. Let's say that you're selling dog food. Trying to get ranked in the search engines just for the term dog food is probably going to be pretty difficult because you are going to be competing with a bunch of other websites nationwide or worldwide, including the big dog food companies like Purina, and they have entire marketing departments and probably have dedicated search engine experts on staff who can, throw all their weight behind it to make sure that they're listed #1 in Google for the term dog food. So what you need to do is find a niche, something unique about what it is you're offering versus the big companies. So let's say, for example, your dog food is, you're selling dog food in a shop in Miami, Florida. It would be much easier for you to get ranked well for a term like dog food in Miami. Or maybe you're selling organic dog food. That sort of niche term is much more specific, and it also is going to be getting the traffic that is much more valuable to your website, because when people search for organic dog food, that's what they're looking for, versus someone who goes to Google and searches just for dog food. Let's say they live in Seattle, Washington. Well, if they see your website, it's not really going to matter because you're in Miami, Florida. So you want to think about your location, your specialties, and how to describe your products using terminology that people are likely to be searching for, and to focus on that niche.
Well, that was very good, and actually exactly what I meant. And
Okay.
we don't have any more questions, and so I'm going to end the webinar, but I want to first tell you we have our next webinar we're calling our No More Ugly Duckling, where you actually submit your website, and Will and some of our other web team members look at it and review. And then we present that at that webinar, which is September the 20th at noon. And for those of you who are interested in home care, we do have a most marketing concierge workshop August the 30th at 3 p.m. So 2 upcoming workshops. They're all listed on our Core Cubed main website. And Will, once again, thank you so much for your good information, and keep on designing those award-winning websites.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Bye. Everyone have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.